Hello, and welcome to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is the Wrath of Druids expansion. I have Gayatri Sri Shayak Majumdar with me. How are you, Shayak?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. This looks fun.
Does it look different, or does it just look like Valhalla?
It looks like Valhalla. I mean, the sort of appearance. I mean, I don't see much of a difference, but I see you were going through a new world right now. Is this a new map that we have?
Yeah, this is like Ireland because Druids, I guess.
So, you want to tell us something a little bit about the story first, or whatever they have showed, how they set up the premise?
Right, so the way it begins, which we will introduce people to as well in the video, is you have to talk to this merchant guy. Let me actually show you the merchant
Okay.
guy. Why not? So you talk to this merchant who's waiting for you at Ravensthorpe, is it called? Our
Yeah,
home in
Ravensthorpe.
England. Yeah, so that's where you meet this merchant guy called Azar. I think you meet him in a while as you walk into him, and he tells you that he has come from Ireland, and that your the king has written to you, and obviously Eivor is like, what king? This is the merchant.
Right.
Um, and they're like, I don't know any king in Ireland. Eivor like, and
eye.
Azar is like, well, I have a letter which I can't find, but can you do this mission for me? Because this guy's a trader, right? As you can see,
New contracts.
he has a
new
shop for himself
riches.
here. He also has a shop for himself at Ravensthorpe, and he's like, my trade route is being blocked. There's a blockade on that river that is outside our Ravensthorpe, right?
Right.
And so you have to like remove that blockade back in England. And once you do that mission and you set up a trading post for him at Ravensthorpe,
Enough for today?
then you can basically get access to Ireland. And he sails with you, which is why he's now in. This is actually Dublin,
Farewell
technically,
Right.
before-
where we are.
Right.
So yeah, once you arrive in Dublin, turns out the king is your long lost cousin or something, who you did not know was still alive, and so it begins there, and apparently the king's reign, as we should
Right,
say
right.
it, is not very stable. So he needs help, which is why obviously he needs something, right? Otherwise, what will we do as a player in a game if he doesn't need anything? You can't just go and chill in a bathtub all day. So we're now here to help him.
Okay, Akhil, you want to show us the map a little bit to get an idea of how big it is?
Right, so this is Dublin, as I said, but I guess I can show. I mean, it's not. I haven't really explored much, so this is Dublin. As you can see, I've explored a bit here, and Dublin, for people who have been to Ireland or know Ireland from a geographical point, will know it's on the coast. I've also been to these kind of abbey places, which I did a raid, as I mentioned before. But it's fairly big. I mean, I think you get to explore a lot of Ireland, as you can see here. I remember traveling from Dublin to this place called Rathdown, yeah, and it wasn't that long. It was like I went by ship around the way from here, and took me like probably about like 5-6 minutes at max, less than that actually. So yeah, it's not that huge as well. But yeah, it's good enough for an expansion, I would believe. I mean, I haven't explored a lot of it, but it definitely feels like, I think Ubisoft is saying that you will get to spend about, I think, 13 hours more, which is quite a lot, I would say.
That is a massive expansion. I mean, it may not be like Witcher level, but I mean, yeah, it's not bad. I mean, given how
Yeah, it might not be like might not be detailed in terms of like 13 hours, like you probably be doing the same thing again and again. I think that was my problem with Valhalla, was that you do one thing of one type, and then they're like, oh well, do 5 more of those type, have fun.
right. So, are we doing a proper story quest now, or is it like a side mission?
No, this is a proper story quest. So what's happening is, as I was talking about the king earlier, since his reign is not that very stable, he needs to basically curry favor to stay in his position. So there's a king of kings sort of person who's like the high king of Ireland, who's about to become the high king,
Right.
called Flan. So they're trying to curry favor with this Flan guy, and for that quest you need to speak to this person for some reason. We will find out soon.
Right.
This drunk person. Okay, I'm getting pummeled here.
I think maybe you should just lock on to someone.
2-on-1 is not a fair fight, guys.
You just need to lock on to someone.
They're both down. Somehow they magically went down very quickly
Nice.
after that point.
So
And everyone has walked away.
classic Assassin's Creed. I mean, a murder just happened here, but
Yeah.
I'll just sell my fishes somewhere now. Good fun. So this sort of missions were already there in Valhalla, though.
Yeah, that's what I've been feeling as well. Like all the raids I've been doing and stuff like this I've been doing is, you know, it feels like basically more of Valhalla.
Right.
But now it's like people have Irish accents. Have fun.
But it was a massive data pack for you, right? I mean, I heard it's more than 10 GB or something for Xbox.
Yeah, I think it was like around 9.8 GB. Yeah, you talking about the main game or you talking about the expansion?
The expansion.
Yeah, the expansion was around 10 GB. You're right. I also had an update due. I mean, the game. It's just that's the nature of games in these ages, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Every time you try to turn them on, they have a new update
That's
waiting
true.
for you.
Now set up in England with the rest of
Where am I
my
going now?
clan.
Oh, that icon. So yeah, so there was like actually the update, supposedly the patch update was bigger than um the expansion
Right.
itself. Funny that up the patch was like 12 GB or something.
But remember when games used to be just you buy a DVD or even a CD-ROM at one point of time?
Trouble.
And you could play it
Yeah,
forever.
and it would be
But
perfect
now,
somehow.
every other day they would have like
Like for
literally, like,
Valhalla, for
I
me
feel like
personally,
updates like
we even spoke about this earlier also. Like when the game released, I was one of the one. I was like, I don't want to admit it much, but I pre-ordered the game. And
Right.
I played it from launch only, and there were like so many issues, and I was thoroughly disappointed with the game, how the game turned out to be, how the game responded. I mean, it was like playing a very
and
unpolished
that,
Witcher.
that contributed into the delay for this as well, right? Like because those issues and then Ubisoft sort of tried to apologize
Yeah,
for it.
I mean, yeah, the game was fixed with the updates.
They would be prioritizing those fixes, and this actually expansion was supposed to come sooner, but then it got delayed because they were like, oh, we'll do those fixes first for you. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing. So when the fixes came in, the game was still nice. I mean, still the gameplay worked well. Everything was lot tighter. The story isn't half bad compared to recent Assassin's Creed games. But yeah, I mean, the sense of disappointment is always there with modern games. That you are not paying for the final product, no matter what. No matter how, I mean, even unless you're playing something like from Naughty Dog or something like that, other than that, it's pretty much a new game is gonna come sooner or later.
Like basically those day zero patches are like just like the name of game of the day now. Like that's always gonna happen.
This would be for free of cost, the expansion pack, or
No, but it's part of a season pass, or you can buy it like separately if you don't want. I think it's probably gonna be even more expensive or
Right.
something. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's paid. So you have to first whatever you paid for the game, you could have. I mean, people like you bought it on day one, so you paid like whatever 4,000.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right?
3999.
But yeah, it's gone on sale since because of just like holidays and all that in between. So
Yeah.
if you didn't buy the game at launch, it'll be a bit cheaper for you. But yeah, expansion cost on top of game price. It just yeah, that's how they justify it, right? Like that's why they keep in a way like why is Ireland not part of the base game? Is that they sort of almost like amping up their offsetting their development
Yeah.
costs. Sorry.
Yeah. I think for the base game you get mainly England map and little bit of Norway, little bit of Vinland,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
of course that Valhalla map. But that's like it's smaller than a mini map nowadays. So
Right. You're not talking about like when you get to go to like Asgard. Is that the Valhalla map?
Asgard. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
That gives us some time. Kira, act as if nothing were amiss. Barrett and I will look into it. Where is this tent?
Up the hill, to the left.
Be careful.
I do miss that old Assassin's Creed cinematics, which is actually looked like it's made, separately and not just played on in the loaded
Yeah,
characters.
these are just basically like there are almost like rendered in sort of.
Assassin's Creed games have changed a lot. It feels like I'm playing Witcher more and more nowadays. Any RPG it
Yeah, I
is.
mean that's what they become, right? RPGs like they're not even trying to be Assassin's Creed game anymore. Like this Eivor is not an assassin.
No.
They give you those abilities, but it's not like that is their main purpose. Like most missions, I am basically barging in and start fighting. Now I'm a detective, I guess.
You play Batman over here. You pick up clues, then you reconstruct the crime.
I love how the kids are basically walking as if nothing has happened because they don't know what's happening, and I'm just like investigating a murder or something. It's like so hard to like not barge into people. Like if you really want to be polite, it's not easy.
I think the game even is designed to be like that also, no? Like I remember how Assassin's Creed was one of the first games where I saw there was like a button for shoving people or pushing people. The game does look nice though. I mean, no matter what you say about the new Assassin's Creed games,
A card.
Yeah.
the sheer scale of it all is just amazing.
What happened to the king guy? Oh, he jumped off. Wow.
Why did he jump off again? Oh, he reached.
Because we reached a point of where we had to examine something, and I went past it. So the
Looks like
king was
it's
like,
snapped.
"Well, I am going to jump off here."
Sadly, look at the king's horse though. He just followed around. Nobody's riding me, but I'm gonna come.
Yeah, the king's horse showed up out of the blue, even though he was with me. So Shayak, you uninstalled the game from what I've been told. So what would it take for you to get back into the
Soon
game?
Find out.
So if I do decide to go back to the game, I mean, see, I kind of gave up on the game because the grinding of the game was so massive after a point of time, and
Right. So can you talk about that? Because I think you've played more than I have. So
yeah, I mean, I really gave it a chance. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Assassin's Creed,
Right.
and so this game, and it wasn't half bad also because the setting was so nice, and the entire Viking era, the Viking, I mean, the show Vikings is one of my favorite shows on Netflix, and the stories behind it, the sort of environment they created, the characters they have. It was quite fun to play around, but after a point of time when you finish a mission and you want to go on to the jump on the next mission, and then okay, oh, you were still like 5-6 levels down and you have to grind by hunting or crafting, and there's no other story mission left or no other raid left. It's just I just lost interest after a point of time.
Yeah, go for
But when you get a expansion like this, I mean, there are more stories to do, and as long as you have the basic sort of power to start this campaign or this mini campaign, I mean, that's good fun. I mean, it's far better leveling up by doing story missions or sort of good lengthy missions than just hunting and forging is what I think. So this game should,
So my question was, are we going in quiet? Are we going in all?
or I would
Charging.
always be up for going in quiet. I mean, it's Assassin's Creed, man.
Okay, let's see how I can do this. I don't know how many there are actually. I can't see all of them.
You can just get Odin Vision to just check Eivor. Yeah.
Yep, and they've been highlighted now, so I can. I doubt I can take all of them quiet.
Yeah. And if you did that last time, it would have been much easier to find the road also, the path.
They're quite close to each other. There's 5 of them.
What you can do is start from one corner of the circle, maybe from the left end, and just fight way in. Start from the water, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the farthest guy. Hopefully, no one's looking at him. Let's see.
Start with the guy in the far end, the right side of the circle.
Yep, that's where I'm going.
Yep. You can take this guy from here.
Even if someone spots me, big deal. I will punch through them. Huh? They spotted me. Sorry, Shayak. I failed you.
Go forth, Viking son. Okay, so Akhil, there are 3 new skills I heard with the new update.
Are there? I have not seen anything, so let me check then, I guess. Skills. Or do you mean abilities or skills?
Proper skills. So they have added the top power level that you can go up to in this game is now 427.
Right.
So it's some I think 20 more than or near about 20
I mean,
more than the
as
main
you can
game.
see, this chart is so huge. I can't even like get it in one shot. Right?
Right. So you are still in one of the beginner levels. You're still in power 43. So still a long way to
Yup.
go. I don't know
Long
if you
way to
can
go,
find it
'cause
for our viewers. So one of the one is called Eye of the North.
I can probably acquire it as well.
So basically, when you are aiming at someone and somebody tries to hit you, they cannot make you flinch. You will be able to get it.
And acquire Eye of the North. Prevents flinching from hits while aiming with your bow.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Oh,
So
even
you
if you
can
get
do
even if you
probably
get
a close
attacked, you
quarter
can do.
shooting.
Right. What was the other one we were talking about?
So we have this one. We have Cold Rage.
Do you say Intense Rage?
Cold Rage. There's one Intense Rage also.
Right. So Intense Rage is here.
Intense Rage,
You
Cold
can
Rage.
get that. Get that also.
Yeah, you found it.
Spear, and now I also have Intense Rage.
Yep.
Ignore hit interruptions while performing your next offhand parry or special attack.
So this is just there to make you into a tank, nothing else.
It's a version of an Eye of the North only, right?
Yeah. And also the other one also the same thing. So there are three of them, right? So basically when you are aiming, when you are doing melee attacks and when you are doing your special parry sort of special attacks, right? So whenever you are
Right.
doing one of those three, you are not going to stop down when this skill is activated.
Okay.
I'm guessing
I
they want
found
to make
Cold
you a
Rage as
tank.
well.
Yep, Cold Rage, that's there. Can you get it?
And I can get that one as well, I think.
Super.
Yeah, the tree was like so huge for me that I basically initially I was like reading and then trying to see what I would use most. Like I mean I'm trying to zoom out here, but they're like this is zoom out. Imagine this is a zoomed out version.
This is a humongous. Yeah.
And eventually I just gave up. Like look how far though they are. I guess they are new, considering like, the new line, right? Like there's a straight line from the center, which is the reason I was able to unlock these, even though my power level is quite low. So yeah, so
Right.
what I was saying was I just gave up and I would just go to the center and be like auto assign points.
Right.
I was like I can't be bothered with like selecting every time I get skill points. Let's just do it for me.
Right,
So
right,
yeah.
right.
But yeah, these are I guess yeah, as you were saying, I think they're all about like not being interrupted when you're sort of fighting.
They're making you a
basically.
tank, basically. They're making you a living tank. A Viking
mean,
tank.
Tank in a way that if you have enough health, right? If you don't care about your health, basically.
Yeah.
Because there's a limit on resources, right? Like that was another annoyance for me. I think that was that you had to always keep collecting random food from like shrubs and bushes next to you, to build your health potions, which you would consume during battle.
Right, right.
Like that element wasn't never really like I never really got sold on that element.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think definitely wins. Oh look, rainbow definitely wins in the visuals department.
I mean, did they push the Ireland thing a little too much over here with the rainbow? The game still looks
Possibly.
great, man. I mean, look at the vista,
But
right?
yeah, you can't fault it for how it looks, honestly.
Okay, so you have been playing the new expansion pack for some time now, and you want to share your wisdom with us?
So I think it's quite similar in terms of what you get to do. I think to the base game. Like I can't speak for the specific druid challenges, which I don't think I've unlocked any of them yet. But as for like what the meat of the story is, meat and potatoes, which is a new tale following your cousin who is the king of Ireland. It's pretty much doing the same thing that you were taught to do in the base game. That sort of you have to perform raids, you have to sometimes sneak attack, sometimes you have to like butcher people outright. Yeah, it's not complicated in that, right? It's pretty much of what you expect from Valhalla, which I guess makes sense from expansion that they're not trying to reinvent the game here. Like this is supposed to be and give you more of what you had before, basically.
So if it doesn't break, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean in their logic, but I would argue that it is partly broken for me before because of just how much the game threw at you. Basically, like it sometimes gives you too much to do, I would argue.
That is true. That is true. I mean, for me also, I stopped playing Valhalla for that one reason only. I mean, it threw a lot of grinding right at you. I mean, when you compare a game like Ghost of Tsushima with it, this sort of it follows a similar sort of trajectory as Assassin's Creed games do. But over there, I did not feel I need to grind much, or the game is asking me to grind much than needed. The progression of the character, the development of the character, it felt very natural. Over here, I mean, I have already taken over castles and raided monasteries and whatnot. And what I need to do is, I don't know, grind through and hunt some deers to go to the next level of the story. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, not personally. And as you said, so this expansion pack will also open up once you are at a certain power level on and whatnot. So this is not recommended for somebody who is starting a game anew. Definitely, right?
It's actually, yeah, I thought it was going to be like a lot asking, but it's actually not asking a lot in that department, and thankfully. It's only like, you have to complete obviously the initial Norway bits naturally, because you have to get to England. And once you're in England, you have to basically complete like the first sort of segment of story, which is like, that involving that king who runs away with his queen and they hide in somewhere. So once you complete, I mean, depending on what you allegiance to. So I pledge allegiance to, the first thing was Leicestershire, which where you have to complete this quest I just spoke about. So once you do that, you can basically come to Ireland. Although Ubisoft is suggesting that you reach
Right.
power level 55, because that's the overall power level of the whole of Ireland. It does not change. Like unlike in England, where certain areas are 20, then suddenly the next area is 90.
Yep.
All of Ireland is 55. So once you hit that level, you can pretty much explore all of it.
Right. So it doesn't ask too much of you also that you need to be more than 100 or 200. to
Yeah,
reach
in a
there.
way, almost it feels like you can do, the whole of Ireland before you can actually even do whole of England. Almost, it's almost like it's a early to mid game almost expansion, I would say.
And does the game play smoother to you? Did you come across any sort of crashing issues or things like, the player freezing, not loading properly, clipping issues or anything like that?
So if I'm going to compare to them to the launch version of Valhalla, which we had reviewed on Cal 360, this is much better. I haven't come across those funny bugs and annoyances that we wrote about in our review. But I think it only crashed maybe once. And again, this is an early access thing. This is not possibly, there probably might be another patch, or like as Ubisoft is, they keep rolling patches. Like as I was talking about earlier on this video itself, like the update to the game itself was bigger than the expansion. So like, yeah, those keep coming. So even if they are problems, Ubisoft will fix them quite soon, hopefully.
I suppose we will just have to make peace with the fact that nowadays you don't buy a full game at all.
Yeah. That's a pipe dream, and honestly. in
Ah,
today's
yeah.
age.
Unless a few studios that we talked about, like
Yeah.
Rockstar Games or your Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But that's the situation, and so far, and Valhalla looks good. It's a good game. I mean, if
Yeah.
you are planning, if you're into RPG, deep RPG, which requires a lot of grinding and a lot of leveling up, then it's a good game for you to play Awesome. And it still holds true, I'm sure, right? With the
It
new
does,
expansion.
and this is a nice song. So I guess we're gonna leave our viewers with this final thing where this guy is becoming king.